Bitcoin right now is exactly repeating history. Things are about to get very, very interesting. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about what's going to be happening for that Bitcoin price. I'm going to be looking into this fractal in detail and explaining every single compartment. I'm also going to be talking about the CME gap we're forming on the bottom side. As you can see, we are pumping towards the upside right now, but I'm going to be talking about whether a dump is likely. Are we going to be filling this gap? What's the relevant levels to be paying attention to if we do come towards the downside? And I have all these relevant charts prepared for you guys to be discovering what's going to be happening next. Not only am I going to talk about the liquidation levels for Bitcoin, I'm also going to be talking about the liquidation levels for Ethereum and what's going to be happening next, as I have a lot of different charts also for Ethereum prepared and a lot of different scenarios. So make sure to be watching till the end. So with that being said, let's not waste any more time. Let's get straight away into this banger. Bow. And like you can see on the screen, I've actually created this fractal and things are looking very, very interesting for Bitcoin. This horizontal orange line represents the 1st of October. So like you can see, it's October 1st, which is the orange line that I've put on the screen. And every time we have October 1st, it's seasonally the time where Bitcoin starts to move parabolic. And if you look very closely at 2023, on October 1st, everyone thought that we were going to be having a massive October. Things were going to be going parabolic. And this is on a 2-day time frame. So you can see that we had a few days towards the downside. And then in mid-October, that's when we started to move towards the upside. And this was the same for 2024 also. Since the start of October, we started to actually move towards the downside since the 1st of October for a few days, and then that's where we started to move towards the upside quite aggressively. But this year we've already had a massive move towards the downside recently, and we're starting to pump towards the upside and towards this trend line. And you can see every time that you break your trend line, you tend to have a massive move towards the upside. So in my opinion, I do think that if you can break up above this trend line right here and actually confirm above it, you may get a retest, but in the grand scheme of things, you are going to move towards the upside and things can get crazy. Now, you may be wondering what's going to be happening with the CME gap at 110k. Are we going to be filling the CME gap, or are we just going to be continuing towards the upside? Now, if you look at the liquidation heat map, we do have liquidity piling up in and around the 108k level. So it is likely that Bitcoin can actually come down and fill the CME gap, since the CME gaps tend to get filled quite quickly, and this may actually wipe out that liquidity. But of course, this CME gap is at 110k. So if we do move in towards the CME gap, I do think a liquidity grab towards the downside is potentially likely before we actually revert towards the upside, which can be that first few days of October, that kind of redness that we see, since October is 2 days from the time of this recording. So from the 1st of October, we can see a few days of red price action like we've seen previously, and we can come and fill that CME gap, and then we're going to be breaking out from this trend line over here. So that's one scenario that you want to be marking out on your charts. But again, I think, like we said in today's video in the morning, it is likely that if we break out from this parallel channel over here, we are going to be moving towards the upside quite aggressively. And we need to be watching this level at 117k approximately. If we can break above there decisively, I do think that we're going to be seeing Bitcoin leave the station right now. So you can see over here on this chart, Bitcoin has confirmed this circle as a higher low. We were looking at Bitcoin potentially forming a higher low over here like we talked about. We said that this was your low, this was your first higher low, second higher low, and we were wondering, was this one going to be a higher low? And right now, as part of the test, it's actually confirmed as a higher low. So you want to see Bitcoin not break below this low over here and not close below it. You can get a liquidity grab and move towards the upside if we grab that liquidity like you can see over here. But in the grand scheme of things, you don't want to be seeing closes below that low, since that's going to be indicating that we are potentially flipping bearish. But in my opinion, I'm still remaining with a bullish bias, since we're actually holding above the support level like I talked about in our videos previously. You can see that this horizontal support level around 108k has been massive for Bitcoin. We've held it up not once but now twice, which is looking really good, as it was previous resistance before and now it's turning into a support. So that's actually looking really, really good for the Bitcoin price. And you can see right now that this scenario where we weren't going to be holding this horizontal level, so our mid-range level, I said if we can't hold above it, it is likely we can come to 100k and flush. I don't think it's likely anymore. Of course, I talked about this in the previous video. I said as long as we hold this support level, it is not likely we come down and test this 100k level over here. It's likely we hold above 108, and until we get a decisive break below, that's the only way we're going to be moving towards 100k. I've already said that, and now it's even looking less likely as we're pumping. So that's looking quite good. We've reclaimed this mid-range, which is looking amazing, and your target is going to be the range highs now according to this chart. And if you look quite closely, you can see that Bitcoin is forming a potential inverse head and shoulders, which is a bullish bias pattern. And the breakout target is when you cross this trend line. So when you break above the neckline, like I've talked about here, so you can use this trend line as a gauge as well. If you can break above this trend line, like I talked about, that's going to be the, massive decider. It's going to be the signal to indicate that, yes, this inverse head and shoulders is actually playing out perfectly, and we're going to be moving towards our range highs and potentially into new all-time highs. Now for that longer term, we said that Bitcoin likes gold and it's likely that we can catch up, and that's exactly what's happening. Today gold hit a new all-time high of 3,818 so far, and it looks like Bitcoin is already starting to catch up. I actually offset gold about 8 weeks back to actually match the Bitcoin price, and you can see that this was the bottom phase that I talked about in today's video, and we're exactly pumping like this fractal suggests. But again, you can see shortly after you have a little bit of a move towards the downside before you move up, and that could be where we fill the CME gap, who knows. But of course, the major thing to pick up from here is that we're going to be having a likely catch up to gold, and we're going to be moving towards the upside. So that's the main thing that you need to be taking into account. Since we hit a metric of fear recently, and now we're actually moving into neutral, this indicates that yes, people were actually moving bearish when we actually move towards the downside, and it's likely that people are going to be chasing price as price actually continues to soar towards the upside. So if you're enjoying the video and you want to be trading for yourself, make sure to click that first link down below for WEEX. When you click that first link down below, it'll take you to this page over here. WEEX is one of the cheapest exchanges that's offering the community a massive 20% deposit bonus right now, and you could be getting up to $100 once you actually link your phone number and your email. So make sure to be checking out first link down below for WEEX to be getting the cheapest fees in the market, and to be claiming 20% on your deposit, and to be getting an instant $100 for free right there. I think that this is one of the best offers on the market right now. That's the first link down below for WEEX. Obviously, this will help to support the channel, but of course, it will help to support yourself with that massive 20% bonus and that coupon for $100 once you actually sign up for WEEX right now using that first link down below. Now, looking at Ethereum, we can see that we've actually grabbed the top side liquidity right now, and we're actually moving towards the upside, and there's a bit of a short squeeze actually in play. Looking at the price action, you can see we bounced strongly on the higher time frames from this level. We've actually closed the weekly candle as a wick, and this candle is already starting to flip green. You can see right now, if you delve into the lower time frames, that we're actually confirming a potential manipulation in play already. So a liquidity grab towards the downside is potentially getting confirmed. This is exactly what we've been talking about on the channel. We said that in this region where we move towards the downside, we said if we can reclaim this level, we're going to be extremely bullish, and we circled this level over here, and it's exactly how Ethereum's actually come down perfectly, and it's already starting to bounce. So this is looking perfect. We said the two previous times this happened, we moved towards the upside, so it's likely that this time we're going to see the same thing happen, and that's exactly what's happening so far. And the reason why that we were saying that this was going to happen was the fact that we had negative funding rates combined with liquidations. We had a lot of liquidations combined with negative funding rates at the bottom, and this was the exact reason I took a screenshot and actually showed you guys that this was going to be a primed area to be buying Ethereum. We also saw a lot of open interest actually come down, which has indicated that a lot of people were being liquidated and being forced to close their positions, and this is why we said that this was going to be the bottom for Ethereum. This was going to be a reason where Ethereum was going to be moving parabolic. We were going to be seeing this V bottom play out, and you can see if you move to the higher time frames, you still have time, don't worry, but this is already playing out so far. We are moving towards the upside, and in that longer time frame, once we enter the blue zone, Ethereum is going to be moving so quickly you will not even believe it. It's going to be moving towards the upside. So I think still this is a decent region to, accumulate Ethereum if we can see a confirmed, reclaim of this range at 4,300. That's where Ethereum is likely to actually move towards the upside. In addition, we've seen this right angle descending and broadening wedge. We tested this beautiful support level, so previous resistance now turning into support, and now we have a target at 6,400 for Ethereum. That's going to be my bullish target, and if we can reach that, that would be absolutely insane. So this is a great region still to be accumulating Ethereum, and that's exactly what I'm going to be doing. And you can see right now that the monthly time frame for Ethereum, we've retested this diagonal trend line that, you know, not a lot of people are spotting. Not a lot of people are talking about this diagonal trend line retest that we've actually put in, and the monthly MACD also was flipped bullish, indicating that the strength in Ethereum is massively increasing. So yeah, it's likely we can actually move towards the upside for Ethereum, and if that happens, we'll see Ethereum against Bitcoin move towards the upside, and that's going to be, you know, a reason why your altcoins and Ethereum itself is going to be doing very well. We can see previously in Q4 that your altcoins tend to perform extremely well. We can use 2023 and 2024 as an example, and you can see what's happened previously in these 2 years. And if you pay attention to the blue line, you can see that we're actually following this trajectory perfectly, and it looks like we're going to be pumping towards the upside too, and we're going to be putting in a blow off top. So I think we're still super early. If you look at the altcoin season index on the yearly time frame over here, and you zoom out, you can see that we're not in altcoin season just yet, and you still have time to accumulate. So in my opinion, this is going to be a massive opportunity to be actually grabbing Ethereum quite cheap, to be grabbing your favorite altcoins quite cheap. So make sure to comment down below your favorite altcoins, and I'll make sure to be putting some nice charts in for you guys with the levels and the relevant scenarios. And yeah, that'll be it for me for today's video. So make sure to be follow me on X to be staying up to date with all the updates, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a blessed rest of your day. Peace guys, see ya, bye bye.